Hello, everyone. Thank you for making time to join us once again. Today on the University of Toronto African Alumni African Mental Health Series, we discuss managing coursework during COVID. I am Renee Datsuma. I am one of the volunteer coordinators, and I'll be your host for today. So before we start anything, I'm going to invite Catherine Bate, who is who is our senior volunteer coordinator, to recite the land acknowledgement. Hello, Catherine.
Hi, Vanis. Hi. Thank you so much. I'll be reciting the land acknowledgement right away. We wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto African Alumni Association operates. For thousands of years, it has been a traditional land for Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of Credit Region. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Thank you, Bernice. Back to you.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, so before anything, I know that pre-COVID, when I was still with students, like studying from back home, whenever I had to study from home, it was extremely challenging, especially considering all the distractions. You have your fridge, you have your bed, and because of that, well, I'm going to invite two people to join me on the platform to discuss this. So first we have Danielle, who is a PhD student. Hello, Danielle.
Hello. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. So if you can please go ahead and introduce yourself shortly, what you're studying, your professional background.
Yes, my pleasure. So I'm a second year PhD student with I'm in the curriculum of teaching and learning. So my PhD, I'm doing it in curriculum and pedagogy. So my professional background lends into my academic pursuits. So I've worked for 10 years as a holistic health consultant. I worked as a holistic nutritionist and a rehabilitative postural therapist, because my first career before that was I was a professional dancer, and all the ways that I got sick and injured, I needed to heal myself. And so my injuries and my illness led me to my next career. So I help others with their management of chronic illness, autoimmune conditions, joint injury, spinal injury, to find ways to be in right relationship with the health and disease challenges that we all face in unique ways. And that's what I'm bringing into school. So I did my master's in social justice education at OISE, and I continued with my PhD. And I'm looking for the bridge between holistic health intervention, what we do when we are ill, and holistic health promotion, what we do when we're relatively well. No, there's no diagnosed big debilitating, but every day we need to learn how to love ourselves enough to care for ourselves. So I'm interested in conversations of how do we speak about health in ways that motivate us when we're not necessarily ill, so that we can help ourselves along when we need it most, so that we don't have to manage our pain and have that be the reason that we're helping ourselves. So that's
wow, that's awesome. That's a lot and very interesting. And thank you very much, Danielle. So next we have Victor Mwanguzi, who is a master's student, and he's going to introduce himself. Hello, Victor.
Hi, thank you, Vani, for the introduction. My name is Victor Mwanguzi. I'm a second year Master of Information student at UFT, and I'm specializing in information systems and design. My background is in information technology. I don't really, I've worked a lot on systems development, and I've worked with Macquarie University Systems Development Software, and I've done research in how accessible the systems are building are to the users in terms of how inclusive are the systems that are designed for everyone. And yeah, that's why I'm taking this master's, and of late I'm venturing into accessibility and inclusive design and how it relates with information systems. And yeah, that's me. Yeah.
That's a lot. Thank you very much for the intro and telling us what you're studying. So, before anything, I know that it's November, it's reading week. And like when I was in school, I remember this was the time that like professors will pile assignments on you. It's literally didn't feel like reading week, like you have a lot of assignments and things to do. So I just wanted to check in with you, how both of you are doing mentally, to say the least. So Danielle, if you want to start.
So I don't have reading week in this semester.
Oh, okay.
In the PhD program, we get reading week in the next semester. So mentally,
the one in February.
In February or in March.
Oh.
Right. It's like a week before grade school. So it's been having all my classes go online without even the option of being in person has been challenging, because it adds, an extra 2 to 4 to 6 hours a week in front of the screen. And it's definitely challenged what I'm used to doing to keep myself in balance.
Yeah.
And I've discovered whole new degrees of resistance and fatigue and thresholds within myself, because what it feels like to be in front of the computer for 6 hours is different from being in front of the computer for 4 hours. Like how I feel at the end of the day and how much energy I have to go for a walk or go train or be creative. I find that I'm having to learn and discover new ways to motivate myself. It's been challenging, not to mention, what's been going on in the States. That's also been a lot of huge amount of energy mentally. So I felt a big shift in how much my mind is being trained, how much my mind is being exploited for attention. And so I'm doing well. And I don't know, it's been like this. And I feel, and I won't get too much into it, but before going online and this whole time, I feel like maybe it was a good week or a good 2 days or like on and off weeks. But now it's like in the middle of the day, it can happen. So the time of change of my mood, my energy, my motivation, it's gotten a lot shorter, a lot tighter. I'm having to be a little bit more exact. Like, okay, so 10 minutes ago, but now you got to do something else.
Yeah. I mean, you have to stay active to fulfill all your obligations, right? Yeah. Okay. So how would you say this semester is different from your previous, like pre-COVID semesters? Like besides having to study behind the screen, how do you see the semester is different? Like I know you mentioned like the extra challenges, but how do you say it's different?
Go, Victor.
Oh, so Danielle. I'm sorry, Danielle. Yeah. Sorry, I'll get back to you, Victor. Yeah.
Oh, Victor.
No. I mean Danielle. Like I want Victor. Yeah. Okay. Victor will talk later.
Oh, my apologies. I misunderstood. Yeah. I thought we were back and forth. Well, one of them is my work's changed. So pre-COVID, I teach. So I taught movement. I taught ballet. I taught dance. And pre-COVID, I was teaching in a studio. So there was a lot more physical displacement, that I would do something in my house, in my office, and then I would go outside and go to another location, and then I would do something there, and then I'd come back. So there was a big change of environment before, and even just getting on the subway or getting on my bike and walking to class. So the biggest change for me has been the lack of diversity of my physical space and the lack of physical moving from place to place. Which that coupled with, again, I mentioned the increase of screen time, and so those have been the biggest shift, is the lack of physical displacement, lack of change of environment, and a really big increase of needing to be on the screen for work and for school and for the preparation for work and for school.
Thank you very much for giving us that info. And back to you, Victor. Yeah, so before I ask any other question, I wanted to check in with you mentally, like, before the other questions come through. So how are you doing mentally?
How am I
Like,
doing?
yeah.
I would love to incorporate Daniella's submission. It's a we go. So
It's a roller
yeah,
coaster, right?
it's at 9 you're okay. At midday you're keeping up.
Mm-hmm.
After lunch you're okay, and then by the day ends, probably you're trying to take in the feedback from the prof and
Mm-hmm.
all that. But how am I doing? I'm doing well. I've tried
That's
to
good to know.
keep up with the friends that I had in my first year that are taking the same program, and we try to get online,
Yeah.
communicate, discuss these assignments, and for some reason it keeps the connection alive. It keeps the discussion alive. It keeps the ideas that you had together alive. And for
Yeah.
those that I can reach out to, like at Grad House, I take a walk there just in the evening to say hi and maybe by the window. Yeah, that gives me the physical connection that I miss from the physical classes. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So will you say that that's something that has changed compared to your pre-COVID semesters?
Oh wow, a lot has changed. To be honest, a lot has changed.
Mm-hmm.
By the matter of the fact that I no longer go to the Bissell building by St. George Street, that a lot has changed.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I used to have a lot of these discussions in person. That has now
Mm-hmm.
gone to keeping up with the screen. So
Oh yeah, of
you're in
course.
meetings behind the screen, you're in a class behind the screen, you're working behind the screen, and I used to love it. It was fun as an IT person. You're always behind the screen, but of late, it's like you're spending 12 to 14 hours behind the screen. And you know what that does to you? It
Yeah.
drains you. You feel overwhelmed. There is the information overload. You're processing tons and tons of information that's coming to you digitally. Initially, it would
Yeah.
have been you be at a distance with a prof talking to you, and you're taking all in this information. But now he's on the other end of the screen and you're this end of the screen, so that too has changed. And yeah, the mode of learning of course has also changed. So a couple of things have changed, but nevertheless you try to change as change comes in. You try to
Yeah.
incorporate it in your day-to-day life. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know, and I'm thankful that both of you are doing very well.
Yeah.
So, my next question to both of you is like how you've been managing to ignore the distractions that come with studying or spending so much time behind the screen, like to fulfill your academic coursework and obligations. So, how have you been managing to ignore all those distractions to stay on top of your game?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
So, Danielle, want to go? Danielle?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have a morning practice, morning movement and meditation practice that really sets me in a good connection with my intention and
Mm-hmm.
how I want my day to go.
Yeah.
That's really helpful for me. Having rules like when I will allow myself to check emails.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't, a really simple thing that's been helpful is using a time tracker. I use something called Toggle Desktop, and just the practice of like typing in like email or nonsense or because then the act of kind of like punching in and punching out,
Mhm.
I the act of just being honest about how I'm spending my time allows me to not feel ashamed if I'm not on track. Like if I dive into a hole, like, oh, I'll just start, and then I'm like, whoa, I just lost 20 minutes. If at
Yeah.
least I say, at least if I acknowledge I'm going into nonsense right now, or like whatever, at least I'm acknowledging that I'm choosing to do that, and then I can look
Yeah.
at the time and I see this time going. So that's helpful for me. The other thing is when I have a 2-hour block of a meeting or a class,
Mhm.
when I'm done, I just try to like close my computer and just walk outside right away and try to get my senses going. I look far away. I breathe in the air. I do something to ground myself in my body. So it's like a punctuation of at least 5 minutes before I can think about it. If I think about it, if I close, I've and this is what I'm learning, right? It's very much a learning process because I don't always do it. I don't always get on board. Sometimes I indulge in, TV series, and then before I know it, I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. No, that was just going, that didn't help at all. So again, it's a big thing for me is just being gentle with myself of why am I making certain choices? Really try to get away from shame and blaming myself and feeling like bad student, bad this. Like I'm really trying to get away from that. It's really part of my health philosophy. So yeah, it's learning to be strategic with myself and notice that when I feel tired, often am I mentally tired? Am I emotionally tired? Because if I'm mentally and emotionally tired, if I go for a walk, it'll probably help me refresh. So it's trying to be clear about what kind of tired I'm feeling. And again, the time tracking has been very helpful for me so that I can be more accountable to how I'm planning my days. And my morning practice is the thing that allows me to start my day with a sense of freshness and what am I grateful for and what is my intention for the day. So that's how I've been helping myself, learning to help myself.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm pretty sure our viewers will take pointers from that. So thank you, Danielle, for sharing. So now back to you, Victor.
Yeah.
So what would you say yours has been?
Yeah, thank you very much. I've been listening to Danielle and pondering about like all these, how she's describing or accepting that the fact that you're doing something wrong, like you're spending a lot of time on social media, and before you know, you spend an hour just scrolling up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there is a time that we've been distracted, that we're going to be distracted, it's the online school. It's because look, you're communicating online, you're reading emails online, you're attending lectures online, you're responding to group discussions online, and online means internet. So you have social media, you have the emails, you have the YouTube, you have all these pages running. Yeah. And really prioritizing has been my way of how I'm trying to navigate this. I can't claim that I've done it well, but knowing that I have 3/4 of the day, so I have 9 to midday, midday to 4, and then 4 to 8, right? So how I utilize those 4/4 really matters how productive I'll be throughout the day, right? So if I spoil the first quarter of the day, my mind triggers me or my planner shows me that I only have 2/4 left of the day, right? So whatever I do in those 2/4, right, should should add to my final goal of the day. If I have a paper coming maybe on Monday, right, and I've shoot like 2/4 of the day on YouTube, on Instagram, and I should find a catch. I should find a time, or I should find how I should allocate time to catch up with the lost 2/4 of the day. Never, it's not easy, to be honest, but prioritizing, knowing that if I create time to communicate with my family, friends, catching up, seeing what's on Instagram, looking up, checking up the results of the US elections and all that, I should know, right, that I have to create a chunk of about 4 hours. So I operate in 4 hours. The next 4 hours of my time after maybe breakfast, after lunch, should add to my final goal of the day. If I have a to-do list of 4 items, I should at least accomplish 3, and then I'll feel fine before I go to bed. Otherwise, I will reflect on my decisions throughout the day so that I don't find myself in the same loop tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for all that. I've been taking notes myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I already mentioned, this will be a very brief discussion. So, I just wanted to ask you whether you have any pointers or advice to any other students who may be struggling with schoolwork right now. because I know a lot of people, like, they are cut off from their families, especially with international students who have their families like miles and miles away. It can be hard to keep in touch with them, and that is an added stress to what is already going on. They don't have that human connection, like communicating back home is another thing. So do you have any pointers, any advice to those people? Danielle?
Yeah, for me, something else that came up is two things. One is, so my background is in the arts as a dancer, and now that I'm in school, that isn't a part of my life right now. Like, I still teach, but it's not the same thing as being in my right brain, being creative, being less linear.
Yes.
And recently, for a class, I started reading novels again, which is always like, ooh, I get to read something nonfiction. That's wonderful. I get to read something fictional. So, and I was delighted to find how much I needed to be in the imaginational places of myself. I needed to go into characters, or just put on music and dance, or go look outside at nature and be in the poetry of life. And it was the rediscovering of the parts of myself that make me feel my humanity, that make me feel my feelings, allow me to cry with beauty, or scream, or just feel myself as a human. That's been very important, because I feel that, I know that for myself, when I want to distract myself with more stimulation, it's generally because I have some emotions that I'm not able to process. And I find that finding creative outlets of writing with, pen and paper, or drawing, or doing something creative, singing, reading a story, painting, doing something physical with my hands, really allows my emotions and my heart to express themselves in a safe way. Even cleaning my house really rigorously is a really nice thing. I can take 15 minutes and just get to a corner of my house, and that really changes my energy, and that's important for me because it creates space. When my heart gets pumping, when I'm allowed to kind of drift with my brain, but while I'm doing a physical task, it creates space inside for me to meet myself. That's actually really real. Even if it's emotions, it's real. And that gives me a sense of feeling myself. So that's a big one, is giving time, even if it's like 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, to do something that's creative and that's physical. And the second one is related to that. It's appreciating that during this unprecedented time, what I used to be able to do in terms of like endurance of work may not be the same right now. So maybe I could work 2 hours before, but maybe I could work 3 hours before, but now maybe it's actually only half an hour before I start to drift, before my motivation starts to wane. And I think that also has to do with learning to be kind to ourselves, learning to be an ally and a good friend. Is that, okay, when is a good time for me to work? And we figure out maybe 11 o'clock's good, maybe 1 in the afternoon. And then we work and we say, when do I start to lose my motivation? And in that moment, to catch ourselves and say, let me step away and think, what do I need? What do I need right now? And then come back when we're ready, so that we're not pushing ourselves to a place where we're exploiting ourselves for the sake of productivity, and we're not feeling like our friends while we're doing it. Because we all want to succeed. We are doing this because we want to succeed. And I think the big thing is to say, hey, we're doing this because we can and because we want to and because we're really awesome and we know exactly how to do this. But we need to be friends to us so that we're not, bludgeoning ourselves there and like feeling like ourselves doing what we want to do. Those two things, just the creativity and the physical action, the little breaks, and acknowledging when do we need to take a break. And it might change throughout the day. Again, just not assuming that we're supposed to work for an hour because that's what people say. Maybe it's 20 minutes, maybe it's an hour and a half, but being mindful of how we're feeling inside and when we need to change it up so that we can still have a little smile and a little lightness in our heart while we're working away to build something that we really care about.
Okay, thank you very much, Danielle. Now back to you, Victor.
Yeah.
So, should I go for the question?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I asked Danielle, I was asking whether you have any pointers, any advice to other students who may be struggling with combining schoolwork and personal obligations right now.
That's
So,
right.
advice.
Thank you very much. That's a good question. It comes in. I had that question at the beginning of the semester. I work with UFT Blue Solar. It's called Blue Solar Sky Racing Team. So they design
Oh
this.
yeah.
And then I work with Monk School of Global Policy and Public Affairs, and then the Faculty of Information. Plus, on top of that, I'm a Master of Information student. So that alone can tell you that, well, you have a whole bunch of things to manage, right? And then you have school. I take a full course load. I'm a full-time student. So it all first came down to how am I going to manage this to keep it going? If I'm not going to manage, right, I need to find what to lay off and what to keep on my wagon as I move forward. And so first I try to break down what is actually required of me at this work, right? What tasks am I meant to deliver, right? If I project, what am I meant to deliver in this fall term, right? In this fall semester? And then trying to look at my courses. While I was choosing my courses for the fall semester, I tried to look at that I'm interested in, that I feel that will add to my whole goal of being an information systems designer, business analyst, and what I anticipate will be recorded. What will the nature of the assignments be, right? So I have the whole meal on my table, right? And then you start chopping how you will be eating it up, or say that you take it in at a pace that won't burn you out, and again you deliver. You're still producing results to where you're expected to produce results. So first, I split my work hours. Instead of working a full day and then taking a class later, I negotiated with my employees to say that I have chunks in the day. If I work, like I said, I found out that I work best in blocks. So early in the morning, midday to afternoon, and then later. So I split up my work such that every job I allocated the time that I think I can deliver, right? That I can produce the results that are required of me. And then basing on the skills and knowledge that I have had and the discussions that I have with colleagues in that, but in the same work field and in the same classes, I was able to come up with a schedule that works for me. Just like Daniela said, you need
Yeah.
to you need to find out when do you actually work best. You work best at night, you work best in the morning, you work best in the afternoon, or you can work a full day and then take on a class later in the day, right? And then to add on that, as I was enrolling, I made sure I enroll in afternoon classes or in classes that start at 6 to 9, because I realized at that point in time, I can fully attend a lecture and I'm productive. I don't know, but I'm productive past 6, and I can take in class. But if you tell me to get in a class of 9 to 12, it will be so overwhelming for me, because I'll have to wake up so early, prepare a lot of work, and then attend class, and then it will be so much for me. But attending a class later in the day itself, I can take it in. So that way I was able to manage my work, right? Because I know what I'm expected to deliver. And then I'm managing school because I anticipated the coursework and what is required of me for this fall term. And then I pick classes that I can be able to fully attend, work,
Yeah.
and I know colleagues that are taking them, so I can discuss with them courseworks, and they can add on my final goal of being an information systems designer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for all the advice, all the pointers.
Yeah.
But so a question has been bothering my mind.
Yeah.
Like I'm just imagining myself in place of students who are not in the country right now, like E of T students, obviously, who are not in the country right now, who are living in different time zones and who have to take synchronous classes. Like, I don't know, I feel like that is something else that's an added stressor or an added challenge to those kind of people. So can you imagine yourself in their shoes and maybe give them any kind of advice? Because I think there are a lot of students who are not in Canada right now, who are not in Toronto right now.
Yeah.
So you want to go first, Victor?
Yeah, I can go on that first. I got the opportunity to mentor 3 students who are coming into high school, who are in their first year of Master of Information, who are taking their first year. And I realized 2 of them, one is in the US and then the other is in Asia. And for the times you're trying to meet, right? It's either morning the other side and it's evening this side. So it's like 10 hours difference. And so we worked out a schedule that works for both of us, right? It's that time where you strike a balance. So if they think they can work better at night, right? You need to find a time that works. That we found a time that works better for me. It's like you're finding an equal balance of what it would be a morning the other side and what would be an evening this side, or what would be a morning this side and what would be an evening the other side. And so throughout those interactions, I advise them to pick classes that can work for them, right? So if you're enrolling, it was best for them to enroll in classes that will be an equivalent of a morning the other side, right? And it's an evening this side, rather than taking in a class that's midday this side and it's midnight the other side, or it's getting to morning in China and it's getting to evening in Canada, and you have to wake up at 5 for class, right? And so we've tried to incorporate this even in group discussions, in project discussions, whereby we have colleagues that are in China or that are in Africa, where it's 8-hour difference. We try to work on a time that works for them, right, and works for both of us. If not, we create layoffs, right? What would be the layoff for you? Would you lay off an early morning meeting for, it's a negotiation. You're trying to negotiate what works for both of you. But nevertheless, we're into the semester. We need to be kind to ourselves, right? We need to appreciate that you need to rest. You need to work in a time zone. You're in a different time zone. The culture setting is different. You need to find out that if I'm a morning person, right, it would be evening in Canada, right? Does that work for me? Does that work for my culture context? Does that fit in my work schedule? If it doesn't, right, try to negotiate with the people that you're dealing with at that particular point in time. If it's a group project, right, try to talk to colleagues. Try to let them know what your situation is. If it's a prof, or if you can afford to watch the recorded sessions, right? It's an advantage that the online learning has given us that chance to have on recorded sessions, right? If you can watch the recorded sessions in a time that works for you, I think that will be best than waking up in a time whereby you're overwhelmed and stressed, and then you want to physically attend a lecture, right? Yeah. So all those tips, I got them from trying to talk to students and letting them to know how UFT works and how everything works here. And we worked out a schedule that works for both of us after them letting me know about their situations. Otherwise, I was advising them in my context as if they were in Canada. But after knowing that they live in a different time zone, they have a different time work schedule of the day, then we worked out a schedule that works for both of us.
Okay, thank you for that. So Danielle, do you want to take it up now?
I completely agree with what Victor said. I'm working on a research team, and one of our colleagues, she's in India, so it's a totally different time zone.
That's far. Yeah.
So I was just asking her how it was, and she said it's fine because she did what Victor said. She chose classes that suit her because she likes to stay up late. So she just stays up later and has a class later, and then she sleeps in later. And I just what comes up for me, just to add to what Victor says, it's complementing, right? So it's knowing how to make sure that you're staying in your zone of being well fed and nourished, and feeling soft if you're feeling yourself getting edgier and your nervous system getting more drained. look at the day before and after. Notice what are the things that really nourish you, that make you feel your aliveness, and that bring a smile to your face, and that balances, so looking at what kind of work are you doing the most of, and what other choices could you make to help your body feel revitalized again. And maybe it means changing what you do before you have a hard late class or early class, and what you do afterwards, so that you don't feel that it's a big deficit that you go into with yourself.
Of course. Yeah.
And
Thank you for that.
So our last thing is just
you can go on.
Giving ourselves permission, especially as students. Sometimes you feel that the teacher has more authority and that you need to do what they say. And I think that we really, to practice being our sovereign selves, to respecting that it's actually we're doing this for our benefit. We are equal in our learning situations. Teachers don't exist without learners, and learners' rights are as important as teachers' rights. And to be honest, Victor, you spoke a lot about advocating for yourself and negotiating with your professors to say, these are my needs. This is how I can be the most successful and productive. How can you help me? This is what will work with me. And feeling confident that that's absolutely the rights that we have, that we need to advocate for ourselves, so that we don't end up being victims of our academic experience. I don't think that's the point.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. So I have a question here that Mary just posted. It says, what do you think universities should do to accommodate students from different cultural backgrounds who are remotely attending school during COVID? I think that's pretty much what we just went over, right? Yeah. So I don't know if you want to say anything more about it. That's up to you. Do you have anything more? Victor? Danielle?
How can universities incorporate students from that? That was the question, right?
Yes. How universities can accommodate such students?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because universities bring in students from different backgrounds, and and this is the thing that I'm currently into. It's accessibility and inclusive design. How do you design a university system that's inclusive for all students, despite of the backgrounds and the culture settings?
Yes.
And I think it should reflect in how the knowledge disseminators, how the instructors themselves are brought on board. Like, I think having a diversity of instructors delivering knowledge to a diversity of students, the students that come from different backgrounds. I think that's one way, because if you walk in a class, right, and you discover the prof has roots from USA and you come from USA, you'll feel that connection, right? If you walk in a class, or a class whereby you have a prof that's coming from China, and you'd somehow feel connected. You'd somehow feel connected to that class. You'll feel a belonging, right? So having a diversity from them, having universities to ensure that as they recruit profs, they try to be more diverse. They try to bring on all people from several backgrounds. I think that's one way. And then during COVID, universities should invest in tools that make online learning more easier, right? Like they should, because there are countries where you have restrictions on internet, restrictions on the pages that they have. Supporting Monk School, I should say, I appreciate the efforts taken by UFT to create a UFT VPN that allows students to access all these pages. I think universities should do some research and invest in tools that aid students learning, right, online. And yeah, that's it. That's how far Danielle I can go on that. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Speaking from your expertise, of course, that's the accessibility to just the access to online. Yeah, and something else that comes up for me is, I tutor an undergrad student, and they have tutoring groups and these little hubs that are breakoffs of their classes. And I feel that we could do that more TAs, you know, having more peer support within to have that available for students who are learning asynchronously, and have it in like have more accountability situations actually worked into the class, so it's not always up to the student to say I need help, I need some support, but to actually create more peer dialogue that's outside of just the classroom experience, so that they can check in. You know, it sounds like Victor, you set it up so that you do have colleagues to chat with about your course. But for those who are coming in remotely, who are new to the university, it can just feel like you're in the middle of a big sea. And remotely, I mean, you don't know who's there or who else is in the same situation. So I feel that just being put into like a cohort situation where we'll break you off and you're assigned to be with 4 students the whole term, and you guys check in with each other every week. And it's actually a part of the course requirements. So it's like you get participation marks for being in your cohort, for checking in with each other, so that you feel that it's part of the course requirements that you get to check in and learn with your peers. I think could be very helpful.
Of course, that's very good. And from your expertise, Victor, okay, actually, both of you, will you say that U of T is doing well in terms of that, like accommodating students? I guess, like in terms of what you've mentioned that they should do to accommodate students during COVID. Like, will you say that U of T is doing a good job at that? And also, not just U of T, but I know you have friends in other universities across North America, Africa, wherever. Will you say that they're doing a good job at that? Danielle.
I can't really speak for the university. I'm at OISE, so it's an offshoot of U of T.
Oh yeah.
I know that there's a lot of resources available if you want to go seek them out. My experience is that individual teachers have been creative, and I feel that my classes are different as teachers have made decisions to be differently responsive to students because of COVID. Like, they've shortened classes. So we're not actually on class for 3 hours. Sometimes it's 2.5 hours. Sometimes it's 2 hours. There's invitations to. So I just feel that teachers have been creative a little bit with shifting because of COVID. I have a little bit of an issue. I always do with the way that there's like the midterm crunch and then the end of the term crunch. I find that it adds a huge amount of stress.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a huge stressor.
Huge. And that's been true since I was an undergrad student. It's like this thing that happens that you're like, and I won't sleep. And I'm crazy.
I'm just having flashbacks right now.
and I wonder if it has to be that way. Is it necessary that we have this crunch? Because I'd love to go maybe explore more resources, but it's all online. So I don't want to sit through another webinar, very honestly, because I'm already online. So I personally feel that it would be very meaningful for a student experience if we could think about a different way to manage the semester. And maybe that would take more coordination between courses, but I think that would be a kindness if we could have more of a steadiness throughout. I don't know what it would look like, but I feel that that would be a meaningful point of creativity that I haven't had the experience of yet. So,
yeah, that would be a really great initiative if they consider that. So, Victor, will you like to say anything regarding that?
How UFT is managing this? To be honest, that's an interesting question. It calls for looking at UFT from. I may mention it from my faculty, from the way I view my faculty and how it's managing all these things. But well, UFT is covered from. It has lots of departments and faculties. But looking at how instructors have tried to make the learning and knowledge dissemination to how they share the knowledge to students and how they evaluate what they have shared to students. I think they have tried to do some good work, and not just in the shortest time possible, because to be honest, no one knew how to figure it out. everyone
yeah.
tried their best, and it would be a disservice to have U of T on the nail and bring all this, because it's a new thing. It's a new thing. It's a new challenge, and everyone is
Yeah.
trying their best to make sure that. And from my faculty, U of T has tried. First of all, it has created different support avenues. So they have
Yeah.
a student support specialist team that helps students helping students, right? So
Yeah.
if you're in a class, there is a group of students, 3 or 4, that are there to ensure that your connectivity is good. You can access, if you're locked out of a room, you can get back in. You can get to know the questions, you can access the polls, or if you're asking for any resource as the instructor is going on, these students are just there to handle that, right? Then on
Mhm.
top of that, they have the instructors support team. So these support instructors to ensure that as their students that support instructors, so they bring a view of students from this side and they push it to the instructors, right? So they let know the instructors how they are doing every Friday. I'm part of that team. I can share
That's
more.
awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
part of that team. I let instructors know what I feel and what I know that's working and what's not
Mhm.
working. So looking at it, I think the way each department handled it may be different, but if I'm representative of the basing of my faculty, I think they've done a good job and ensuring that they create, if every class, they have ensured that they create times that can work for all students. So they have a morning,
Yeah.
so if you can't get in for the morning, right, at least you have a slot in the evening, and then
Yeah.
yeah, so that way I think every student can get on board, right? And I appreciate the efforts that they've taken, because it's a new challenge, and we'll learn as we go on how to make it better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. And bringing this to close, because I know we all have our responsibilities to attend to. So I just wanted to ask Danielle, whether you have any relaxing exercise routines or anything to share with our viewers just before you close.
Oh yeah,
And any final remarks.
yeah. So my favorite, I have to take my glasses off, is rubbing my hands
Okay.
together.
Mm-hmm.
Like some heat in your palm of your hands.
Yeah.
And then you put the palm of your hands, you close your eyes, and you just gently press into your eyes. So you make a nice black
Oh,
one.
okay. I'm going to do that too.
Yeah. And you take 3 breaths in, so big breath in through your nose.
Mm-hmm.
And breath in.
And I can see.
And then you just take 2 more breaths in through your nose. And
Okay.
and through your nose.
And put my glasses on because I can see anything right now.
No, you can hear me. Your ears are.
Mm-hmm.
So that one is just nice to give yourself like a little black box. I like that one. You can unroll the skin of your ears. It's like a little massage
Yeah.
on your earlobes. It's a good one. If you're doing a lot on the screen, looking really far away is really good, and trying to see what you can see far away.
Mm-hmm.
That's really relaxing. Use a tennis ball or a rolling pin and massage your feet, like a good 2 minutes underneath your feet. And make sure you do like side stretches and leaning forward
Yeah.
and other stretches and shaking, like putting on really good music and just shaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a whole thing called shaking medicine, and it's very, animals do it. It's a very old tradition. Shake, shake, shake. Close your eyes, look far, stretch your spine.
Mm-hmm.
Those. And my closing remarks are, I have learned and keep learning that 5 minutes doing something in my body and creative can make an incredible amount of difference to refresh myself, and planning it so that we can take afternoons off
Yeah.
away from technology, whole afternoons, a whole day if possible, but when we're really packing a lot in, a whole afternoon, so it's like a make sure that we're gifting ourselves with the opportunity to take a break, because we get to meet different parts of ourselves when we're stimulating ourselves differently.
Yeah.
Those are my remarks. And best of
Okay.
luck to everyone, and as Victor said, we're all learning. Everyone's learning.
Yeah.
University's learning, and we're not supposed to have it figured out, but it's just continually staying in the question of, what do I need now to feel better? What do I need now to feel okay? What do I need now to feel safe and motivated and inspired, and reaching out to people? So thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing all of that. So Victor, do you have any closing remarks?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Daniela, for that exercise. It's interesting. Rub your hands. I'll do that. I'll do that after this meeting.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's a cool one. Yeah, my closing remarks. I want to thank the University of Toronto African Alumni for hosting us today and giving us an opportunity to talk about these issues that affect us and our mental health, and trying to share from our experiences. One thing I've learned in life is that it's a gradual learning process, like Daniela said. No one really has it figured out. And as new challenges come in, you may need to find your ways of tackling them or walking along with them as you walk the journey of life. No one has it
Yeah.
figured out. We keep learning. And if you fail, don't hesitate to reach out to your profs, negotiate what works for you, and ensure that every step you make adds to your final goal of being whatever you want, of being a teacher, of being a systems designer, or of being someone you want to be in the world, honestly. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I think this brings us to close right now, and I want to thank you, Danielle and Victor, once again for everything that you've done for us, for making time to share all that with us. And to the rest of our viewers, I just want to say that if you missed a huge chunk of this webinar, I invite you to go to our page and the African Alumni Association page. Like the page, and you can scroll down and rewatch this video. And also, don't forget to join us on our other social media platforms. We are on LinkedIn, I think on Instagram too. And if you have any questions or you want to reach out to any one of us, you can always do that on the page. And so until next time, bye. Take care, everyone.
Hello everyone, I'm Sonia Sidhu, your Federal Member of Parliament from Brampton South. I would like to extend my best wishes to the University of Toronto's African Alumni Association Mental Health Series. I applaud you for finding creative ways to connect with one another as we get used to our new norm and fight COVID-19. For many, the pandemic is having a major impact on their everyday lives, affecting mental and physical well-being. We also know that racialized Canadians have been hit harder with the virus entirely. In Brampton, we are blessed by our diversity, as it creates stronger and more vibrant communities. I have the pleasure of speaking to and working with community organizations and groups such as yourself, and I see the difference that can be made. With that being said, I thank you for discussing these important issues. As a member of Health Committee and having worked in the healthcare field for over 18 years, I recognize that we are stronger when we break through these stigmas. Why I'm blessed to be part of the government that emphasizes the importance of mental health for everyone who has struggles with mental health. Thank you for sharing your stories and for showing that being open is a strength. You are not alone. In response to COVID-19, our government announced an investment of millions to develop, expand, and launch virtual care and mental health tools to support Canadians. We made investment to support children through the Kids Helpline initiative and created the Wellness Together platform for Canadians to benefit from many online mental health resources. There will always be more to do. I have heard clearly from many residents and especially my youth council of over 60 young leaders in our community we must continue working together to face these challenges. I encourage all of you to continue raising your voice and reflecting on our own self-care. Thank you.
All right, folks, you made it. Thank you so much, Danielle, for the conversation and for the relaxing exercise. Bernice has left because she has work to do. She's actually, I think, a little bit late, but I'm so grateful for you. There's nothing we can pay you for this incredible information that you are sharing, but you are very excited to have you. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. I'm so grateful to have been invited for a second time to
Of
be
course.
on this series. It's such a
We'll probably be inviting you more.
I love meeting new people, and it's really meaningful and nourishing for me to have these conversations as well. It's motivating in my own life. So thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know Catherine, right?
Well, don't know you, but
yeah, she's the senior volunteer coordinator for the African Alumni Association.
Okay.
Yeah. And Daniela is my colleague at OISI workmate, and yeah, she's always happy to share her expertise. So we are happy to always have you.
Yeah, we hosted her once before, right?
Yeah, she was with us once before. In that
yeah, nice to meet you again, Daniela.
So nice to meet you, and I wish you all the best with what you are working with and what you're working towards in